Hello folks, Reloading Bench back with you once again. And we've got a box, a rather heavy box. Heavy. It's so heavy it just knocked over my pew-pew. So this package, this box, is from Eugene, Oregon. Dan and his company, Inline Fabrication, who I've been doing business with 10 plus years. I'd have to go back through old emails and see when my first order, a long time ago, long time ago. And I've done a number of videos on some of the inline fabrication mounts and accessories that I have. And if you're a reloader, you are familiar with inline fabrication. Oh, that's sticky. You know inline fabrication if you're a serious reloader, or if you're addicted to reloading, or if you're obsessed with reloading. Dan has expanded his product offerings consistently throughout the years, and this is going to be another example of a product that I didn't even know existed, because I'll every few months run out to Inline Fab and look at their stuff, see if there's something that I can't live without. And he had a couple of new products. One of them is a stand, and he shows a bicycle on it, but I wouldn't use it for a bicycle. I would use it for mounting presses. But this particular product from Inline Fabrication, and yeah, for all you people who are like, oh my god, it's going to take forever to open the package, that is correct, because I'm going to give you some history of where I've been and why this product is being highlighted tonight. So when I started reloading, there was Gavin. I think it was Gavin Tube, Ultimate Reloader. And he had, when he was first starting out, back when it was in his basement, I think, he had a stand. And he had plans for that stand on his site. And I'm showing that plan right now. And that plan, or that stand, and I'll show a picture of a similar stand, not the exact, that turned into my mobile reloading press stand that I've shown over the years. And the difference being, he had it directly bolted to the floor. And I thought that was the coolest thing, because if you look at the picture of, am I showing it now? Let's see. Yes. So it looks like he's got a Lee Loadmaster. I think that's the name of that press. And hard to tell, but you can see the mount. You know, the press is mounted to a bunch of pieces of something that are mounted to the floor. But what's interesting is if you look at his bench, he doesn't have any T-track. And fast forward to, another picture where he promotes this thing called the Ultimate Reloader Bench System. And I want to say maybe that's where I got the idea for, my T-track, my T-slots, because I thought, oh, that's the coolest thing, to be able to mount stuff to your bench. And you'll see him, even today, he'll promote a whole bunch of inline fabrication stuff, but he also throws these giant wooden bases together, and then has these huge bolts with washers and flywheel, fly nuts holding everything down. And in fact, let me grab one of my versions of that. All right, so I'm going to make a little room here. We are going to pull this off. Whoa, that's a heavy. We will yank this off, and we will pull these out. So I'd like to give Gavin credit for inspiring me to do something similar on my bench that he did on his. And you can see in the picture, it looks like he's got a Hornady 366 12 gauge, maybe I don't know the gauge, but a press. And it's mounted to this giant 1-inch thick block of wood that's held in with, you know, the different pieces of T-track. And I think other people have copied him as well. I think I'm showing a picture of somebody who looks like they stained the wood and finished the wood. And, you know, you could say I do something very, very similar. I just don't use these giant square blocks. I use whatever's size appropriate for the device. So, you know, I think you've seen some of the reloading, RCBS, green machine reloading, inline linear reloading presses, and those I put on bigger bases, very similar to, you know, what Ultimate Reloader has put together. But I will say that I don't put everything on a giant block, and I don't know that he puts everything on a giant block either. I just seem to see a lot of stuff on a big block. I love the flexibility of the movement and the placement that the T-track allows. But for heavy press utilization and such, I prefer to use the Inline Fabrication flush mount, and I've shown that, which is on the edge of my bench right there, out of frame. But I will take small devices and I'll do the same thing. I'll create a small piece of, or cut a small piece of wood and create a little mounting solution, and I can put my my device wherever I want on the bench, and that has worked out really well. In fact, same thing with my Hornady case prep center. So I'm giving props to the Ultimate Reloader for not only the idea of my press stand, but probably the T-track T-slots as well. In fact, I think I'll show this as in addition. The Hodgdon Reloading catalog talks about, you know, building the ultimate reloading bench, and there's a picture of Gavin's or Ultimate Reloader's bench with the silver T-track, and it looks like it's an RCBS mount there, which kind of brings me to where I'm at today. And then I think when I showed the iron press, I showed the custom portable mounting solution that can mount to T-track, T-slot, but I didn't use it for that. In fact, I've never really used it because I picked up the iron press, but not really that particular mount. I have it. I should probably put it on Facebook Marketplace because I don't really use it. And there is a degree of coolness there for portability. But where I'm going with this is, this was a recent product I found on Inline Fabrication's site, and it's a little bit pricey for what it is, simply because, again, it's modular to a degree, and that you have to have multiple parts to make this work. It can't just be a one thing. So it's very similar to the flush mount plate system, in that, you know, you have the flush mount, but in order to make the flush mount work, you got to put plates on it. Plates for your thingy thing. And that would be my stickers, my receipt, and such. And in typical Inline Fabrication style, lots of, oh, this is newer. Oh, that's like a blanket. That's nice. That won't get thrown away. So this is a flush mount plate. I think we can get rid of, but that's not really what this video is about, but that component is key to this video. What the video is really about, and I can't get it out, is this. And let me move this out of the way. I think that's empty. Is this device. And that gun is going to stay just like that. Alright, I was double checking the packing, and that is all of the packing. So this is what Dan is calling the rail, or the rail system. I'm not quite sure. Let's see what his packing slip says. The official name is the Railplate. And it's a mounting solution for benches with embedded rails or T-tracks. So I thought this was kind of cool. A little bit expensive, $75 for this, $50 for that. So shipping, tax, it's a pretty penny. But what this system allows you to do is leverage your T-track. So, you know, had this come out years and years ago, I would have never bought the flush mount, because I would have used something like this. Alright, so I'm not quite sure which is top and which is bottom. I'm going to say based on finish, again, not sure. This is the nicer of the two finish, you know, imperfections in here. But I'm not sure which is top and which is bottom. But the beauty is I could mount this to my T-track like so, or like so. This is probably more accurate depending on where this piece goes in. So I'm thinking, I'm actually quite surprised. I would think there would be, okay, so here's the T. Wow, I think there's a such thing as too much tape. And I've stopped doing custom work with Dan simply because the last custom piece I inquired about in 2023, it didn't go anywhere. Multiple emails back and forth. Oh, I didn't get your email. I'm like, well, here it is. I'll look at it. And it just didn't happen. So I'm thinking, no, then looks like is it this way? It looks like that's kind of how it mounts, methinks. All right, so get this out of the way. And I'm wondering, with this bag of goodies that is completely taped to the tape. Again, another example of maybe too much of a good thing. But yeah, I stopped doing custom stuff because it just wasn't going anywhere. So that's why I kind of did the vice plate myself, made my own version of I'm wondering if that's what he's thinking for that. You know, two clamps. That just doesn't seem to be a lot of clamping. So if that is for that, what do we have? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And what do we have in terms of, let me get a magnetic. I do not want to lose. Do not want to lose stuff. All right, so we have different size screws. We have that. We have 1, 2, 3. We have 2 of these. We have 4 of these. Were there instructions? No, this instruction is for the quick change flush mount receiver plate. All right. So we've got 4 longies with two top pieces. So my guess is that these will lock in to here. There's 4 of those, and then there's 4 of these, but I'm not sure what these are for. Unless it's something like that. All right. Always one off. And I'm flying by the seat of my pants. That is not the right size either. There we go. There we go. All right, so that secures the top plate, and obviously the top plate has to have about 1 inch. So I'm going to say that and you can't see that, so I'm going to say that the edge of the plate is something like that. So that being said, that gives me these 2 points, or I pull this out just another 1/4 inch, and then that gives me 4 points of contact. So, you know, if I was going to do a press, I would want multiple points of contact, unless this is yet another point of contact back here. So what do we have here? We have 1, 2, 3, 4 screws, but only two, and these two go, I'm going to guess, for right here. So my thought is that the intent is to use these four for mounting to your T-slots. These screws, I'm not sure. I am not sure what they're supposed to be used for. So I will probably, in fact, if I screw these in, I'm guessing they're going to be too long. Yeah, they stick up a little bit. Yeah, I'm not sure what these four smaller screws are to be used for. I'll have to look that, or these longer ones, for that matter of fact. 1, 2, 2, 4, 6. So obviously these washers go with those screws. I'm thinking maybe for a flush mount, ultra mount, or the other mounts that Dan offers for his line, but this doesn't seem to fit anything I need to do right here. So my thought is that we're kind of golden. And where did I put my Allen wrench? God, I'm getting old and forgetful. So wherever the Allen wrench is, I'll probably, maybe under here. Yes. I was gonna say I have to watch the video back. So this, I think, is cool because, you know, I don't know if there's enough pressure here to lock in my press, or if my press, you know, would yank this out. So I don't quite know. And I'm willing to give that a try. It won't be in this video. We'll call this the setup video. But this now allows me to add something that's on a plate, just like my flush mount right there. So anything that is on a flush mount, I could now mount to this and mount to my bench, and actually have it anywhere on the bench, to my left or to my right, you know, space provided. So I'm going to jump online and see if I can find out what some of this is. You know, to me, this is, again, I don't think, I'm thinking he means for this to be these, because this would come with a plate. These usually come with whatever the mounting plate is. So I'm going to jump online, go check that out, and be back. All right, so I went and read, and it sounds like this comes with the mounting holes to mount to any of the Inline Fabrication ultra mounts or mounts. I'm still at a loss as to these particular hardware components. That clearly doesn't go there. Does this go here? So I'm going to say that, you know, if you had a dual bin mount, maybe this would mount for that. I'm not really quite sure, to be honest. So don't know what to say other than, yeah, I'm confused, and there was nothing online to unconfuse me. And I will say, before I forget, and I'll show this picture too, there was a guy that took, well, assuming guy, who knows, he took a plate. Let's see, what did he say? He says, I wanted to use Inline Fabrication plate with one of, without the risers. They make a custom non-flush mount plate that is perfect for my application. And if you look at the uncut plate, or let me rephrase that, undrilled plate, that might be a better solution for me than this. and I might actually pick one of those up to try it, because you can drill that plate to where, depending on how it fits on your bench, to your T-slot, as he did. Now, I don't know if he can put, depending on, you know, the size of the plate for the press per se, how that will work, but that's an idea too, and that would be a heck of a lot cheaper than this was. So let me find some mounting hardware from, wow, I just can't stop knocking that little pew-pew over. Let's see, this is my mounting hardware for, and this might be too tall. Yeah, that's going to be too tall. So I think I'm going to have to use the mounting hardware that I did for, what did I make recently? It's not in here. What did I do with it? Where did I put it? I did put it in here. So I think, let's do this. I did this and I did that. So I have 2 points that I can mount this in. So we'll do for demonstration purposes only. And I'm not gonna take this out. So I'll use some of my stuff, which is a little bit different. All right, so we have two of those. We'll use that, and we'll get that to the edge. We'll try and clamp this down. Again, if I wanted four points of contact, I'm going to move this out a little, but this is for testing purposes only. Okay, so I'm going to say that's moving my bench. So we are going to move this out of the way. Again, I'm not really sure what these are for, unless this is to mount the rail. You know, I don't know what to say. I really don't know what to say, but yep, it is what it is. So let me move the camera out of the way, and I will put the iron press here, because that's a big, hefty thingy thing, and back in a minute. All right, as you can see, the iron press is on a, what is that, 6-inch? 7-inch riser. And I'll be very honest with you, I don't think two points of contact are enough. I mean, can I use the press? Yes, but look in the left-hand corner, you can see the plate rising. So am I comfortable using it? Not with 2 points of contact. So what I would do is probably move that out so that I have at least, you know what, I'm going to say 3 points of contact. I would do all 3. So I would move this, actually let me make this little, I would probably do something like that, so that I've got the left side, the right side, and then I would do the back left, the back right, and the center. So, you know, would I feel confident with those 3 points of contact? Not sure. And since I don't have enough shorty bolts, instead of cutting down existing, I'm going to zip over to the hardware store tonight, and there'll be another segment to this with more locking points, at least 2 more, potentially a third. So is this viable? Yeah, it looks like it could be. You know, but I want more. I'd want some more. Might even throw my lock and load on here and see how that operates, or even the Dillon. But yeah, I want more points of contact. So back later. And a quick trip to the hardware store to pick up some more bolts. And I decided, you know, over the years I've collected many different shapes and sizes of wing knobs. And this one, quarter inch 20 thread, this size I felt was appropriate because, you know, it's big as in this this particular, and these happen to have, this one's a newer one. Where's an older one? Hoorah! These have a nylon stop, so for a bolt that's a little larger than the nylon, it'll poke through a little bit. But the point being, this is rock solid. I mean, there's no, that's on there tight. So we've got 5 points of connection. This is snug. Let's maybe tighten it just a tad. That's not the one. That's not the one. Now that this is going to stay here in the sense that this plate, this flush mount plate, is going to be my solution. And as I was thinking about it, the guy that decided to use the generic flush plate mount, there would only be 2 mounting points because of my I wouldn't be able to put it back here because of the overhang requirement, the inch overhang requirement. So that will not work for me. So I will go ahead and get the iron press again, put it in here, and hopefully you'll see the difference. Back in a minute. All right, so we've got a 9mm factory crimp die in here, and I have some 9mm that I need to crimp. I've disabled the primer because it's a pain in the butt with this particular press, but as you can see, doing a full stroke, you know, I'm moving the bench, I'm not moving the plate, and the rear of the plate isn't moving. So that was simple. I still think this whole plate thing system is quirky. As you can see, this, I don't know what to say. Not a fan of this particular solution for the iron press. I like the iron press. I think it's great for certain things, but the shell plate, this bad boy, I think when I made a video a long time ago, I can't remember what the issue was, but there was something I couldn't do. I want to say it was at the swaging. I honestly don't remember. It was too long ago. But from a crimping point of view, no problem. And I'm sure somebody's going to out there saying, yeah, crimping doesn't put enough pressure on the press. And I will not disagree with you. So one of these other dies is a 308 small base resizing die, decapping resizing. And the other one is a 223. So I will grab some 223 or 308, probably 308 because that's going to be the bigger one, and we'll swap out. Let's see, this is 308 Winchester small base. Okay, so be right back in a minute. I put the priming cup in, and I I think that's unnecessary because I want to say these have been deprimed. Getting some Imperial wax because, okay, so that was 308. And again, pay attention to the press. So we've got movement here because of the size of the riser. The weight of this press. This is a heavy press. So you've got all the weight up here in front, you know, 60+% of it up front. But in terms of resizing 308, and again, this is small base resizing, so whatever was done to this previously was standard. So we are getting the cam over. And the plate is handling this. Plate's not even moving. I don't know if you can see that, but the plate, the only movement is right here because, again, all this weight up front, you've got, yeah, I would say like probably closer to 80% of the press is hanging off the bench on the riser, on all of the inline fabrication mount. But I gotta say, I'm impressed with the Railplate. I really am. A little more wax. I must say, quite the impressed. You know, I think 308. I might do 30. I don't know. But the whole point is, I have the option, if this were to be too much, to move over to the bench mounted version. I did not put enough wax on that one. That did not feel good. There we go. And that is that. I'll call that done. I'm going to throw the lock and load on here just for giggles. See how that feels. Back in a minute. All right, we now have the lock and load locked and loaded on here. So I will probably hand feed these because primer, powder, my lockout die would have locked the press up. There's bullet, there is seating and crimp. Locking the die, or locking the press because there's no powder. Lock, bullet, seat crimp. Yeah, this feels great. This adds another dimension to my bench, versatility of my bench. Hopefully somebody's noticing that the lockout die is doing exactly what it's supposed to. I've had people criticize the lockout die, so cannot do anything with the press, locked out. So I'm short stroking to advance, and that's why I'm only doing one at a time, and this will be the last one. So the beauty here is the sizing activity is the hardest process, meaning the hardest on the press. And the fact that it's not moving, again, one more on the resize and the decap. It is just nothingness. And again, you have, you know, more than half the press sitting off the edge of the bench. In fact, let me get a ruler. Tape measure. All right, so from the front of the press all the way to the back, we're at 9 inches, and 7 of those inches are off the front of the the workbench. So this is, and my Dillon would be the exact same in terms of weight of the press. In fact, I think this is actually heavier. It almost feels like the iron press is the heaviest, but this is, I mean, I'm shaking my whole bench. The plate didn't move. Again, there's no movement whatsoever on the corner. And again, 5 points of contact. Not sure if this is worth noting or not, but for the iron press, I did screw this in to lock the plate in a little better. I did not with the lock and load, and maybe should have for even a firmer, more firm connection. But I'm going to say that this particular rail plate is a winner. To be able to move this anywhere on my bench, and you know, it's relatively quick and easy setup. These will go back in a bag, and of course one has to drop because that's Murphy's Law of garage. And this was the one with the new nylon, so that will now be worked in. So I mean, that's it. That's pretty cool. So I will keep this hardware with this setup. So where I store this, I'm not sure. Probably not on my bench. I have too much shit on my bench. But I'm going to call this, by Inline Fabrication, the rail system, a win. It's on his site. I wish he would make it a little more clear. I wish Dan would make it more clear that you need to have this. So you can't just buy this rail. Well, I guess you could. You could buy the rail plate if you've got, you know, other mounting, you know, ultra mounts from Dan, as opposed to the flush plate system. But all my presses use the flush plate mounting system, so I needed this plate on this solution. But for some, you could just, you know, screw your ultra mounts into the, you know, the large one. I think there's 3 or 4 different types, and apparently this can accommodate all of them. So what I will probably do is pick up some little caps, 1/4-inch caps, and just seal those off, because I don't need those. Same thing here, unless I put, you know, like what is that, you know, dual bin, which I don't think I will. So I think this will be in its final configuration. But this is cool. Thumbs up. Good stuff.